Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Starcraft for All, My Base Fusion Zerg Core. Chapter 51. The speed of the new warship reaches 5,000 kilometers per second. It only takes 120 days to get from the battlefield to the nearest industrial star of the patrol civilization, which is nearly twice as fast as that of the patrol civilization. Zhou Quan also thought that even if all 1,500 Zon-class battleships were lost at the hands of the Guardian civilization, it would not be a big deal. Moreover, the Zon-class battleship also carries many hydrogen bombs. Let's die together, who wouldn't? Zhou Quan is also fierce, so I will play with you to the end. On Aquamarine, the battleship factory is in full swing. Zon-class battleships are being built at a rate of 10 per hour, and all Zon-class battleships are made of degenerate materials. At the same time, the Dragon Armor Warrior with degenerate armor has also been produced. Due to the change in armor, the production rate is a little slower than before, with a capacity of 5,000 units per day. As long as Zhou Quan is given enough time, it is very easy to form a new army. It's time to go to the chat channel to see what everyone is talking about and understand everyone's development progress. Occasionally look at the only sibling found so far. Mo Qing has been doing okay recently, ever since Zhou Quan's attack completely broke the hearts of the planet's natives. They not only ceased their flags and drums, but also stopped raising their weapons. He even came to negotiate with Mo Qing. The two sides finally reached some kind of agreement, no longer launching war, but turning to cooperation and development, embarking on a win-win road. Whether it is sincere or not is not important. Even if it was just superficial, it was enough for Mo Qing. At night, Mo Qing stood in the base, looking up at the stars. Whoever it is, thank you. After being here for so long, she could finally breathe. The whole process of the Mo Qing incident fell in Zhou Quan's eyes, which further proves that strong force is the best diplomatic method. When I can stand on the commanding heights of force, whether I can give you peace or not is up to me. You can't refuse what I give you. You can't get what I don't want to give you. Develop technology and enhance strength. Big fists are the last word. The battleship came back with the wreckage, and the wreckage was sent to the huge experimental base in the starry sky for targeted research. Since the successful development of degenerate materials, the development of new warships has been put on the agenda. This project has now been launched. Then there are new weapons systems and a new generation of nuclear projects. Then continue to dig deeper into degenerate materials. The energy bomb shell made a standard demonstration. The density is higher, the thickness is greater, and the defense is stronger. The above 3 points have become the follow-up work for the development of degenerate materials. At the same time, the core also allocated 5% of its computing power to research the next generation of biological neuron chips. The core is very busy, and even the second-generation biological computing system is still unable to meet the huge scientific research needs. Zhou Quan can't help in this regard and can only rely on the core. The core also has limitations. It is just an intellectual brain. Although it has massive computing power, it can only perform calculation experiments step by step. Doesn't have creative thinking like humans do. Regarding this problem, there is no way to solve it for the time being, so I simply don't care about it anymore. It would be nice to be able to do things well at the moment. 100 days later, 1,500 warships heading to the territory of the Guardian civilization have reached the edge. After another 8 billion kilometers, it will take about 20 days to enter the territory of the Guardian civilization. However, Zhou Quan knew that the Guard civilization must be ready at this time. Their detection system is very advanced, much more advanced than our own. His arrival will surely be discovered. But it doesn't matter, Zhou Quan didn't do petty theft in the first place. He went out to rob homes and houses openly and honestly. Master, the results of the research on the invisibility of the patrol civilization bomb have been obtained. Close black lens bracket. Oh, what's the principle? Unexpectedly, the main research failed to produce results, but this small branch produced results first. The principle is very simple. We can achieve it at any time, even more thoroughly than the Guardian civilization. Close black lens bracket. Using the cosmic background radiation to adjust its own radiation signal to be consistent with the cosmic background radiation, it will enter a special stealth state. Close black lens bracket. As long as no other signal waves are emitted, it will not be discovered. Close black lens bracket. ... Is it simple? Zhou Quan said he didn't understand. It doesn't matter if you don't understand it, as long as you can use it. And it's available now. Utilizing the biological characteristics of the warship, the organisms can adjust their own radiation frequency to reach the same frequency as the cosmic background radiation. This makes it difficult to detect, allowing the warship to achieve a stealth effect. But the premise is that all systems of the warship must be shut down, including the nuclear power system. Only the neural network part for command is left. Not only battleships, but also hydrogen bombs can achieve this effect because they also have biological components. Unlike the patrol civilization, they used special methods to synthesize special materials to achieve this effect. Based on this, Zhou Quan immediately had a new idea. After discussing with the Corps, we quickly deduced the feasibility and started implementation directly. On the side of the patroller civilization, they discovered that the approaching warship suddenly disappeared from their detection system. The army that had been prepared for a long time suddenly lost its direction. It was definitely not a true disappearance, but rather a deception of their detection system. It shows that the other party has made a breakthrough in the technology of stealth. At this moment, the Guardian civilization felt a deep chill in the malice from Zhou Quan. They never imagined that Zhou Quan's technology would develop so rapidly. The technology they took decades or even hundreds of years to develop would only take dozens to 100 days in Zhou Quan's hands. Zhou Quan's civilization is too terrifying. But now the possibility of peace talks between the two sides has been lost. Either you will die or I will die, and you can only survive. 10 days later, a signal source suddenly appeared in the detection system of the Ranger civilization. Immediately afterwards, a horrific nuclear explosion swept across. The first industrial star was baptized by a hellish hydrogen bomb. The infrastructure on the industrial star suffered a lot of damage, and the entire industrial star was paralyzed. The first set of hydrogen bombs has successfully detonated after 18 days of silent flight. Close black lens bracket. Guardian Civilization Basic Industrial Star, number 01, the infrastructure damage rate is 40%, and it is currently in a state of paralysis. Close black lens bracket. This test explosion was very successful, and Zhou Quan sneered. Go on, destroy the industrial star of the patrol civilization first. 8 days later, another basic industrial star of the Guardian civilization was once again baptized by a hydrogen bomb and fell into a state of paralysis. At this time, the patrolman Wenming panicked. The other party not only mastered his own invisibility technology, but also used it even more thoroughly. How long do you think it will take for the Ranger civilization to solve the problem of the stealth hydrogen bomb? According to calculations, based on the Guardian civilization's understanding of stealth technology, it should take between 50 and 100 days to solve the problem. Close black lens bracket. In 50 days, even if the battleship sails at full speed, it is impossible to reach the hinterland of the Guardian civilization. The territory of the Guardian civilization is very deep, at least hundreds of billions of kilometers, or even further. It covers a large number of planets, including industrial stars and resource stars. Just relying on 1,500 Zon-class battleships, it is impossible to destroy them all until the energy is exhausted. Zhou Quan also knows this, and now he just wants to discuss the Guardian civilization. How much effect it can produce depends on luck. The number of troops is rising. There have been some small breakthroughs in the technology of degenerate materials. The thickness has been upgraded from 1.5 mm to 3 mm. It's a pity that the nuclear power system has not been able to make further breakthroughs. If you cannot achieve stronger power within unit volume, then use curves to solve the problem. The quantity can be further increased. Originally, the power system of each Zon-class battleship consisted of 2 sets of nuclear fusion engines. Now it has been increased to 4 groups. Power doubled. The speed increased from 5,000 km per second to 6,000 km per second, another 20% increase. The energy cannon has also been enhanced, but only a small improvement. It is still in the category of biological energy cannon, not a real energy cannon. During the recent period, the core used 1% of the computing power to push and clear the data, and compared it with the obtained data. Presumably some assumptions were made about the standards of civilizational levels. The first level civilization is the civilization on the planet. This has been made clear. The second level civilization belongs to the star system civilization, and its symbol is nuclear power. Whether it is nuclear fission or more advanced nuclear fusion, they all belong to the category of nuclear power. Only with nuclear power can civilization be qualified to sail in the galaxy. And with the development of nuclear power, the application of nuclear energy has deepened. Weapons such as nuclear bombs will also be developed accordingly. In terms of materials, in order to achieve faster speeds and support the rapid flight of spacecraft between star systems, degenerate materials are also one of the foundations. If one of the above is achieved, it can be regarded as a second-level civilization. And if you achieve all of them and reach the top, you will be the strong one in the second-level civilization. As for the third-level civilization, it is still under speculation. According to core speculation, the standard for level 3 civilization is the application of energy technology, such as the standard energy cannon. It is a real energy cannon, not a biological energy cannon. The shape is similar, but the power is completely different. There are also energy shields and energy bombs. The second is new energy sources. Although nuclear fusion has unlimited energy and a wide range of sources of elements, it also has limitations. It can only support navigation within the star system. If you want to cross galaxies, nuclear power shows its shortcomings. Not fast enough, not powerful enough, not explosive enough. These are all problems. At the same time, new materials that can withstand large amounts of energy are also needed, such as better degenerate materials. In short, level 3 civilization should be the application of energy. Zhou Quan thought of a material-to-energy converter, which seems to be an advanced application of energy. Speculation is just speculation, and there is still a long way to go before actual research results are realized. The core's speculation is 80% correct, because we have already seen the energy cannons of the Guardian civilization and the terrifyingly powerful energy bombs. These two items are evidence. Currently, part of the computing power is researching real energy cannons. Due to the limitations of the main base and insufficient biological strength, the bioenergy cannon has been unable to make further breakthroughs for the time being. This problem cannot be solved for the time being. Only after the base reaches level 20 and the Zerg civilization truly enters the state of second-level civilization can it be completely solved. By then, the bioenergy cannon won't be much worse than a real energy cannon. It's just that this time will take at least 10 years. The thickness of the degenerate material has exceeded 3 mm, 2 sets of nuclear power have been added, and the speed has reached 6,000 km per second. These 3 points alone have greatly increased the combat power of the Zon-class battleship. Even if the Guardian civilization uses energy cannons, it will take several attacks to destroy the Zon-class battleship. According to combat power analysis, the combat power of the Zon-class warships currently produced has reached 70 to 80% of the high-level warships of the Guardian civilization. As long as there are 2 to 3 Zon-class warships, they can fight against the advanced warships of the Guardian civilization. You must know that the Zon-class battleship is only a 500-meter class battleship, while the high-level warship of the patrol is 2,000 meters long. The two are not in the same order of magnitude at all. Another 60 days passed before I knew it. Zhou Quan's fleet size once again exceeded 50,000. All 50,000 ships are the latest Zon-class battleships. The number of dragon-armored warriors reached 1 million. Thanks to the energy feedback from 1 million dragon-armored warriors, Zhou Quan's own level was raised from level 15 to level 16. The improvement at this level is not as big as the previous improvement. It is just stronger and faster, just a small improvement. The next transformation is at level 20. Master, the patrol civilization has developed a way to deal with invisibility. Close black lens bracket. Oh, it's been 60 days, 10 days later than the expected minimum time. In these 60 days, the civilization of the guards has gone crazy. More than a dozen industrial stars were hit by hydrogen bombs. Several of the bases are intermediate-level industrial stars, specializing in the production of intermediate-level warships. As a result, he was also blown up to pieces. It is easy to destroy but difficult to build. It will take a lot of time to rebuild again, and the destruction is just a matter of a hydrogen bomb. Finally, facilities for stealth were developed and manufactured. One day later, a large amount of radiation energy spread throughout the Ranger territory at a speed close to the speed of light. Within the range of the Ranger's territory, the frequency of cosmic background radiation is altered. And it changes every 5 seconds. Even if the Zon-class battleship wants to make corresponding changes, it will not be so fast. As a result, the Zon-class battleship was exposed to the sight of the patrol civilization. At this time, the Guard civilization discovered that 1,500 Zon-class battleships had spread out unknowingly. 500 of them are flying towards various industrial stars. The other 1,000 ships flew straight to the hinterland of the Guardian civilization. The patrolman Wenming was shocked that he was touched at home. A large number of troops quickly gathered and began to block the attack. The Corps also allocates 1% of the computing power for control, and does not compete head-on with the Guardian civilization. Instead, they rely on their speed to continuously harass, and then change places with one shot. The warships of the patrol civilization were left to catch up. If you can't keep up with the speed, you can't pursue him. Until a brand new warship that Zhou Quan had never seen appeared. Zhou Quan didn't know how to describe this battleship. No, it should be said to be a warship. The body is not big, and its length is 1,000 meters, which is the same as the patrol's mid-level warship. But the technological content is completely different. The entire body of the warship is made of degenerate materials. It is not a 1 mm thick degenerate material like the Guardian civilization. It is the same degenerate material as the energy bomb shell, even thicker. The appearance looks like a mirror, extremely smooth. You can see thousands of cannon ports on the hull, all of which are energy cannons. Most of the cannon ports have been removed. Except for the hole, the energy cannon inside has disappeared. Zhou Quan understood it after just one glance. Why is the energy cannon technology of advanced warships in the Guardian civilization completely different from its own technology specifications? The probability of two technologies of different specifications appearing in one civilization at the same time is quite low. Now it is clear that apart from some of the energy cannons imitated by the Guardian, some of them came from this warship. It is even said that the warships of the Guardian civilization are imitated from this warship. It goes without saying that the energy bombs and energy shields all come from this warship. This warship is obviously the product of advanced civilization. Warships appeared and began to attack Zon-class warships. Zhou Quan had the attitude of giving it a try and let 1,000 Zon-class battleships fight it. Only 5 minutes into the battle, nearly 100 Zon-class battleships were destroyed. The degenerate armor of the Zon-class battleship is like paper in front of the opponent's energy cannon. But the opponent's armor is hard and terrifying, and the main gun of the Zon-class battleship cannot be shaken at all. Zhou Quan did not give up and used the Hell-level hydrogen bomb. The Hell-class hydrogen bomb detonated almost close to the warship. The opponent's warship swaggered out of the explosion of fire. Energy cannons are ineffective, and hydrogen bombs are ineffective. This warship is not only powerful in attack, but also indestructible. The technological level is completely superior to that of the Zon-class battleship. The Zon-class battleship had no choice but to launch guerrilla tactics. Want to escape. But what surprised Zhou Quan was that the opponent was faster than the Zon-class battleship. It reached 10,000 kilometers per second, and this was not the opponent's top speed. Zhou Quan clearly saw that there were 8 sets of engines at the back of the warship, and only one of them was running now. After dozens of consecutive shots, more than a dozen Zon-class battleships were destroyed. Spread out. Following Zhou Quan's order, the remaining more than 800 Zon-level battleships immediately dispersed and flew in all directions. The warship only paused for half a second before flying in one direction. At the same time, another set of engines began to ignite and work, and the warship's speed doubled. It quickly caught up with the Zon-class warship that had escaped more than 100,000 kilometers, and destroyed it in one fell swoop. If my guess is correct, that direction should be the direction where the core of the Guardian civilization is. Write it down for future use. The Corps responded and immediately incorporated the data into the database. Then, record them one by one according to the order of the battleship pursuit. These sequences may represent directions of importance to the Guardian civilization. The Zon-class battleships are scattered in the territory of the Guardian civilization. It is only a matter of time that they are wiped out. It just depends on how long it can be delayed. Zhou Quan ignored this and started to have a headache. How can we defeat such a powerful defense? If it comes, can I stop it? Core, have you deduced it? What are my chances of winning? Unstoppable. Winning rate is less than 1%. Close black lens bracket. You don't have to say it so tactfully, just tell me that you're dead. The opponent's speed is so fast, it is definitely impossible to escape. Based on probability calculations, the possibility that the other party will come to Aquamarine is no more than 10%. Close black lens bracket. Zhou Quan was stunned for a moment, and then he thought of something. If the opponent really has such a powerful weapon, it will be enough to sweep all directions. Why not use it in the first place? Not even if you fail 3 times in a row. He waited until his side broke into the opponent's hinterland before coming out. There must be something wrong with it. Either it is unable to attack long distances, or its sustained combat effectiveness is limited, or it has some fatal flaw. Anyway, there must be a problem. Otherwise, he would have come here and killed himself. If that's the case, there's no need to worry so much. But how to break through the opponent's defense? The opponent's degenerate materials have reached a considerable height, far exceeding the technological level of his own and the Guardian civilization. And the opponent's energy cannon is also very powerful. The patrol civilization only dismantles the opponent's secondary guns and can use them as the main guns on its own advanced warships. Moreover, the secondary guns of the patrol's advanced warships are all copied from it, and their power is less than half. Etc. Why didn't I see its main gun? Bring out the scene just now and view it from all angles. Zhou Quan suddenly thought of a problem. He had only seen the opponent's secondary gun fire before, but the main gun had never been moved. All the pictures were immediately brought up, hundreds of high-definition pictures from all angles. And the core algorithm further improves the clarity of the picture. Zhou Quan looked at the screen and saw a hole where the main gun was. Because the hull is made of black metal, the hole is not obvious against the black background of the starry sky. Its main gun is damaged. Zhou Quan pointed at the hole and said with certainty. Not only is the main gun damaged, the energy defense device should also be inoperable. Close black lens bracket. The core analysis gave Zhou Quan a more in-depth answer. On the upper part of the hull, a piece of equipment was obviously destroyed. Through shape analysis, the core should be the generating device of the energy shield. Not only that, but the power system was also damaged. Of the 8 power systems, only 2 can be used, and the remaining 6 are all damaged. Even the remaining 2 groups are not very stable. The technological level of the Guardian civilization is absolutely incapable of repairing it. Just based on a large number of pictures, from the appearance and core of the warship, and in harmony with Zhou Quan, many problems were analyzed. It may not be completely correct, but it is close to 10. I see, that makes sense. Zhou Quan smiled. What we need to study now is how to break the opponent's turtle shell. As long as you can break the opponent's defense, and then rely on numbers, you can push the opponent to death. Research has begun, conducting various experiments based on the properties of degenerate materials. Close black lens bracket. Zhou Quan is patient. As long as the test is successful, it will be the moment when the army is overwhelmed. At that time, it will be the end of the Guardian civilization. How to break through the degenerate armor of the super warship has become the top priority at the moment. The core distributes computing power. Scientific research and development are divided according to priority. The most important thing at the moment is to deal with the opponent's warship from an advanced civilization. If something goes wrong with their expectations, this super warship can come and fight, and they can't stop it at all. 30% of the computing power in the entire computing system is allocated to this matter. Hundreds of experiments are conducted every day, targeting degenerate materials. According to core estimates, the thickness of the opponent's simple outer material shell is between 15 mm and 20 mm. The shell is 10 mm larger than the energy bomb. The strength is about 20 to 30 times that of its own degenerate state material. Hell-class hydrogen bombs are essentially ineffective. So the core attached 50 pieces of degenerate material with a thickness of 3 mm to a flat surface to form a piece of degenerate armor with a thickness of 150 mm. Moreover, it is ensured that each piece of degenerate material is completely fitted from a macro perspective. As for the micro perspective, there are gaps of several microns, which cannot be solved. The requirement of the test is how to destroy this 150 mm thick degenerate armor. The core even believes that the strength of the 150 mm thick degenerate armor on one side is even inferior to that of the other side. But the difference shouldn't be too big. If this 150 mm thick piece of degenerate armor can be destroyed quickly, it is very likely to cause enough damage to it. As long as it can cause damage, even if it is gnawed to death by ants, it can be killed. This is the data obtained by the core after repeated calculations, and it is probably not wrong. As a result, various experiments including radiation shock, energy strike, and physical bomb strike were carried out. Warships from advanced civilizations are so powerful. Even the main gun was damaged, the nuclear power system was damaged by more than 70%, the secondary battery was mostly removed, and the combat power was not even 1/10 of its peak state. Still has enough power to destroy himself. The technological gap directly creates a crushing gap, which is an insurmountable gap. What Zhou Quan is doing now is not to completely cross this gap, but to create a small channel and send a bomb across. The test was carried out against the clock. Zhou Quan could only hope that the opponent was really easy to predict and unable to move long distances. In the neural network, Zon-class battleships are being destroyed one by one. The speed is too fast, reaching 20,000 kilometers per second. Nearly 1/10 the speed of light. It is more than 4 times faster than the Zon-class battleship. Once locked by it, it will be destroyed sooner or later. Judging from the current speed, all the Zon-class battleships in the territory of the Guardian civilization will be wiped out within 30 days at most. On the 7th day, the advanced civilization warship suddenly stopped moving. Zhou Quan immediately flew a nearby Zon-class battleship over to see what was going on. In 7 days, nearly 1/3 of his fleet had been destroyed. Zhou Quan saw that a large number of high-end warships from the Guardian civilization were surrounding the super warship, with small aircraft flying back and forth between the two. Is this out of fuel? Zhou Quan asked Haifeng to record and analyze. The result is that the super warship has no nuclear combustion. All the nuclear incineration was burned out in just 7 days. In this way, there is indeed no possibility of long-term operations. Unless, Zhou Quan thought of a very bad guess. If the patrol civilization has the ability to send super battleships to the front line. Within that short-term range, the super warship is invincible. At least for his current level of technology, he is invincible. If the judgment is correct, it is very possible for the patrol civilization to have such means. It's just that this method is not easy to use, not that it cannot be used. Big trouble. Allocate more computing power to speed up the experimental process. Zhou Quan felt a sense of urgency in his heart. At the same time, his 1,000 Zon-class battleships set off and flew towards the territory of the Guardian civilization. The ship carried a large number of hydrogen bombs. Originally there were many hydrogen bomb traps on this route, but now he wants to expand the scale of the traps. The purpose is not to stop the super battleship, but to stop the guy transporting the super battleship. Try not to let the patrol civilization bring the super warship over, at least it should play a delaying role and buy time for the experiment. For about 6 hours, the Guardian civilization replenished the super warship with nuclear combustion. The super battleship starts up again. Zon-class battleships can only delay as much time as possible. Now it is impossible to destroy the industrial star of the Guardian civilization. The cosmic background radiation can no longer be simulated, and it is completely exposed to the site of the Guardian civilization. There are super warships chasing after them, and high-end warships blocking them in front. While the Zon-class warships are escaping, they can only make sneak attacks at every opportunity, but they won't have much impact. Doing so is just delaying time. The experiment continues. The hydrogen bomb attack has been proven effective, and the ultra-high temperature generated at its center point can indeed cause damage to degenerate materials. However, this kind of damage is limited. Even a Hell-class hydrogen bomb can only destroy 30 mm thick degenerate armor under the ideal condition of 10 groups of joint explosions. This is Zhou Quan's degenerate armor, not that of a super warship. The two are not the same. After repeated experiments, the effectiveness of the hydrogen bomb was rated as average. Then there is the energy cannon experiment. The bioenergy cannon needs to be continuously irradiated for thousands of seconds to completely penetrate the 150 mm thick degenerate armor. This is impossible to do on the actual battlefield. Normally, a biological energy cannon takes only 0.5 seconds. A super warship cannot just sit there and wait for you to fight. Then there is the actual bullet attack. Substantial rounds range from the smallest bullets to more powerful missiles. The impact force it generates is also effective for degenerate materials, but like the bioenergy cannon, it requires continuous impact. Hundreds of experiments were conducted, thousands of times, but all were rejected. The Zon-class warships sent out laid hydrogen bomb traps along the way. Another 30 days passed, and all Zon-class battleships in the patroller's territory were wiped out. In the past 30 days, the super warship has refueled a total of 5 times. Every 7 days or so in flying 12 billion kilometers, fuel needs to be replenished. Although the Zon-class battleships were destroyed, the satellites secretly arranged by Zhou Quan in the Guardian civilization were still there. The satellites are now all switched off, with only the most basic video functions still functioning. The pictures you see are continuously sent back through the neural network. Zhou Quan saw an extremely huge spaceship with a huge platform appearing on the screen. It was 5,000 meters long and terrifyingly large. The super warship stopped on the platform of the giant spaceship. The giant spaceship turned around and then accelerated towards its position. The guess came true. Zhou Quan's expression is naturally not very good looking. I dare to say that I am a crow's mouth. The transport ship has a speed of 1,800 kilometers per second and has a degenerate material shell. Close black lens bracket. Based on the degree of radiation reaction, the thickness of the shell will not be less than 30 mm. Close black lens bracket. The 30 mm degenerate material, judging from the extent of the Guardian civilization's research on degenerate materials, is just 30 parts of the 1 mm degenerate material stuck together. Although the defense is greatly enhanced in this way, the weight of the spacecraft will be reduced. But when Zhou Quan saw a full 100 sets of jet nozzles of nuclear power engines, he obediently shut up. It is powered by a Class 100 nuclear-powered engine. And it is conceivable that the transport ship is filled with the fuel required by the super warship, and it is completely developed and manufactured to cooperate with the super warship in combat. If there is any shortcoming, it is that the speed of the transport ship is indeed not fast enough. It travels at 1,800 kilometers per second. It takes more than 300 days to reach Aquamarine from the Guardian's hometown. There is still 1 year to go. Zhou Quan needs to figure out how to deal with super warships in this year, otherwise he will have no choice but to escape. Whether he can escape or not is hard to say. The transport ship arrived with the super warship, accompanied by 1,000 high-level warships and 100,000 mid-level warships. Not a single low-level warship came over. The guard civilization was in full force. I wonder if there are any energy bombs in the super warship. In addition to the super warship itself, energy bombs are also a big killer and must be guarded against. The probability of having an energy bomb is over 70%. This number basically shows that it exists. Thinking about it, this is also true. How could the Guardian civilization use up all the energy bombs? There will definitely be some left. How much remains is unknown. For Zhou Quan, he can only be as prepared as possible. After experiencing the huge loss last time, I have to be careful. Energy weapons are currently completely irresistible. The experiment continues, and Zhou Quan's army is being produced. It is expected that when the Guardian civilization arrives, the number of Zon-class battleships will exceed 100,000. All of them are warships with a speed of 6,000 kilometers per second and 3 mm thick degenerate armor. 1 million dragon armored warriors do not need to be dispatched for the time being. Although it also has degenerate armor, its weapons are not powerful enough. Whether it is the mid-level warships or high-level warships of the patroller civilization, they are not something they can deal with. Their biggest role is to provide energy feedback to Zhou Quan. In order to delay time, the hydrogen bomb traps were deployed more closely. After arranging everything, Zhou Quan finally breathed a sigh of relief. The core experiments are non-stop, the patrols are approaching step by step and cannot be stopped, and hydrogen bomb traps have been laid out. Everything that needs to be done is done, and the next step depends on the phase. Sitting on the base, feeling the cold starry sky, I opened the Galaxy chat channel. Contrary to the coldness in the starry sky, the chat channel is still in full swing. Looking at the bustling chat channel, Zhou Quan couldn't help but smile. After so many days, someone finally upgraded to a level 8 base. This man's name is Luo Xing, and it is said that he was a scientist when he was on Earth. And with good luck, I came to a planet with very rich resources. And there are no indigenous people on the planet, only some primitive creatures similar to dinosaurs. So it developed very smoothly. Upgraded all the way to level 8. After 2 more levels, you will be eligible to become a first-level civilization and develop rocket and satellite technology. Seeing Luo Xing chatting in the chat channel, looking high-spirited and resourceful, Zhou Quan wanted to tell him, "The starry sky is very cold, please keep warm." Luo Xing has been regarded as a great god by others. After all, most people's bases are still at level 5 or 6, and there are not many at level 7. Luo Xing seems to be the only one who can develop to level 8. Luo Xing naturally became the focus of everyone, and countless people came to learn from him. As for Zhou Quan, he has only said one sentence in so long and has long been forgotten. And most of them don't really believe what Zhou Quan said. Second-level civilization is too far away for them. Perhaps only Mo Qing knew that there was such a senior who had developed to an interstellar level. 150 days later, the army of the Guardian civilization finally entered the range of the hydrogen bomb trap. The hydrogen bomb is wrapped in the skin of a meteorite and looks like a meteorite in the starry sky. It is only exposed 1 second before activation. The advanced warships of the Guardian civilization guard the transport ship in the center. There are a large number of intermediate distance ships on guard outside. The team is huge. Zhou Quan is not in a hurry to start. He is now like a hunter in the dark forest, waiting for his prey to come over. The cold gun in his hand has been raised, but he is not in a hurry to shoot. After the team of the patrol civilization completely entered the range of the hydrogen bomb trap and sailed tens of millions of kilometers. Detonate. One of the rocks, whose outer shell was no different from other meteorites, suddenly emitted intense radiation energy. Fireworks rise, and the firelight illuminates the starry sky. The location of the explosion was below the patrol civilization team. A sudden nuclear explosion occurs with almost no warning. The huge power of the Hell-class hydrogen bomb destroyed hundreds of mid-level warships in an instant. There was a trace of panic in the civilized team of patrollers. Then, above, left, right, explosions continued to occur almost in all directions. There were violent explosions even in the middle of the ranks. There were 30 groups of Hell-level hydrogen bombs in this area, and all of them detonated at this time. The explosion of the hydrogen bomb lasted less than 2 seconds in the vacuum of space. Then silence fell. The ranks of the Guardian civilization suffered heavy losses. More than 2,000 mid-level warships were directly destroyed, and 12 high-level warships were damaged. At the same time, more than 3,000 intermediate-level warships were damaged to varying degrees. This time the trap was very successful. Huge results were obtained at the small cost of 30 groups of hydrogen bombs. The civilized team of patrolmen paused and did not move forward until 3 days later. But at this time their team changed. The team dispersed, and the distance between the ships was many times greater than before, at least staying above 100 kilometers. Zhou Quan seemed to have expected this, and smiled. "Do you think this will be useful?" "That's too underestimated of me." The next few days were uneventful. The guard civilization seems to have slowly relaxed its vigilance. On the 10th day, the explosion occurred again. The number of explosions this time was even more alarming. A total of 50 groups of hydrogen bombs exploded in different locations. There was even a group of hydrogen bombs that exploded only 50 kilometers away from the transport ship, and the terrifying energy directly engulfed the transport ship. This time the patrol civilization was very unlucky, and its losses were greater than before. The loss of mid-level warships exceeded 3,000, and the loss of high-level warships exceeded 50. On the contrary, the transport ship was bearing the explosion impact of the hydrogen bomb and was still intact. The line of patrolmen stopped again. This time the stop lasted for 10 days. There is a lot to do, repairing the warship and counting the losses. 10 days later, the team started again. But they changed direction and calculated a new route. Zhou Quan sat outside the base and laughed. He said in a voice that only he could hear, "Is it useful to change the route? I have laid traps for the 18 most likely routes. In the neural network, that area has long become a sea of hydrogen bombs. Millions of hydrogen bombs covered much of the area. Unless the patrolmen come in a large circle with civilization, it will take at least 100 more days." Zhou Quan concluded that the Guardian civilization would not do this. When they find that the shortest route cannot move forward, they will definitely choose a relatively short route. There are 8 such routes. Zhou Quan had already thought about it for them and even helped them expand it. Expanded 8 routes to 18. On these 18 routes, hydrogen bomb traps were laid out. 5 days after the Guardian civilization changed its route, the explosion struck again. The Guardian civilization lost thousands more warships. The procession stopped again. This time, they were completely enraged. The super warship rose from the transport ship and then turned on the detection system. All of a sudden, all the hydrogen bombs were exposed to the site of the patrol civilization. The patrolmen opened fire civilly and cleared the hydrogen bombs within 1 million kilometers of the route. Zhou Quan was stunned for a moment. Since there is a way to detect hydrogen bombs, why not use it in the first place? This is a detection method that belongs to super warships and does not belong to the patrol civilization. Close black lens bracket. The signal from the super warship was just detected. There is a problem with its detection system and it is very unstable. Close black lens bracket. As soon as Core finished speaking, a ball of sparks suddenly burst out from the super battleship in the real-time video. Then the super warship flew back to the transport ship. The detection signal disappeared. It may be that the detection system is damaged. Close black lens bracket. Zhou Quan believed what the Core said. No wonder the detection system of the patrol civilization is so advanced. The source is here. The Guardian civilization must have obtained this super warship by accident, and all of its own technology was copied from the super warship. It's just that the imitation has not surpassed it, everything is quite different. It shows that the Guard's civilization talent is not strong. Without the latest detection systems, hydrogen bombs would still be difficult to detect. However, the patrol civilization chose the method they thought was the safest. Another firepower opened the way. All meteorite-like objects along the way will be destroyed. In this way, although the security is greatly enhanced, the speed is slowed down. The speed dropped to 1,200 kilometers per second. As a result, Zhou Quan has 50 more days. The hydrogen bomb trap was completely useless, but Zhou Quan's purpose had been achieved. I bought myself more than 70 extra days, which was enough. Everything that can be done has been done. The Core is also working hard on experiments. There are still less than 100 days before the arrival of the patrol civilization. Good news finally came from the Core. Master, there has been a breakthrough in the experiment. We have found a way to defeat degenerate materials. Close black lens bracket. Oh, tell me. Zhou Quan, who was originally sitting outside the base, suddenly stood up. He used too much force and there was no gravity, so he immediately flew up. The characteristics of degenerate materials are ultra-high density and mass, which is a bit like neutron stars in cosmic objects. Close black lens bracket. Of course, the density and mass of degenerate materials are less than 1/1000th of that of a neutron star. There is no comparison between the two, but their essence is the same. Close black lens bracket. To destroy degenerate materials, you need to destroy their high-density structure. Close black lens bracket. The ultra-high temperature of the hydrogen bomb can destroy this result, but the coverage area of the hydrogen bomb is too wide, the killing area is large, and the core lethality is insufficient. Close black lens bracket. As long as the killing area can be reduced and the power can be concentrated on one point, the destructive power can be further enhanced. Close black lens bracket. I used my own microscopic controllable nuclear fusion technology to create ultra-miniature nuclear bombs. Close black lens bracket. Not bombs, bullets. At this time, the core sent a bullet-like thing into Zhou Quan's hands. The bullet is about 100 millimeters long and very inconspicuous. When this ultra-micro-nuclear bomb explodes, its 100 cubic millimeter center can instantly erupt to a high temperature of more than 300 million degrees for 2 seconds. Close black lens bracket. This high temperature is enough to destroy degenerate materials. Close black lens bracket. Even the degenerate materials of super battleships can be penetrated by up to 100 rounds. Close black lens bracket. Zhou Quan looked at the ultra-miniature nuclear bomb in his hand, but how to launch it? Physical weapons are too easy to intercept. Due to the characteristics of biotechnology, micronuclear bombs have stealth technology and are difficult to detect. Close black lens bracket. And it can use bioenergy cannons to propel it, and its speed can reach 100,000 kilometers per second, which is 1/3 of the speed of light. Close black lens bracket. As long as it is launched within a range of 100,000 kilometers, it will be difficult to avoid. Close black lens bracket. Finally, there is a countermeasure. Ultra-miniature nuclear bombs began mass production. All production capacity is given way to it at this moment. At the same time, the Zon-class battleship began to undergo transformation. 1/10 of the bioenergy cannon on each warship needs to be modified to be suitable for firing ultra-micro-nuclear bullets. The transformation project of 100,000 warships is very huge, but Zhou Quan has a large number of bases and is very efficient. After 50 days, all renovations were completed by the people. Hundreds of millions of ultra-tiny nuclear bombs were produced. When all the modifications were completed, Zhou Quan gave an order, and the 100,000 Zon-class battleships set off in a mighty manner. Quickly accelerating to the ultimate speed of 6,000 kilometers per second, it rushed straight towards the army of the Guardian civilization. At the same time that the Zon-class battleship was launched, the patrol civilization had discovered them. The detection system of the patrol civilization is copied from the super warship. Although it is not as good as it is still the top among the second-level civilization. Firmly grasp the whereabouts of the Zhou Quan battleship. Based on the relative speed of the two sides, the war will break out in 10 days. After this battle is over, it's time to go to the patrolman's hometown. Zhou Quan murmured. In the deduction, he was still the winner. Even if the opponent has an energy bomb, Zhou Quan still has full confidence. 8 days later, the 100,000-strong army was divided into 3 groups before and after Gone. The first group rushed to the front, numbering 40,000. The second group, numbering 30,000, remains 20 million kilometers away, which is a distance that can be reached in 1 hour. The number of the third group is 30,000, and the distance is once again 20 million kilometers. The 3 groups of teams were all dispersed in a fan shape, and the distance was very wide. This is to prevent the energy bombs of the patrol civilization as much as possible. In Zhou Quan's vision, if the battle goes well, the first group of 40,000 warships alone will be enough to wipe out the Guardian civilization team. The last 2 groups are just in case. The advancing team of the patrol civilization suddenly slowed down. They began to inspect the super battleship. We have already experienced the powerful patrol civilization of Zon-class warships, and their combat power is between high-level warships and mid-level warships. Currently, the Guardian civilization has less than 1,000 high-level warships left, plus 90,000 mid-level warships. Facing the first wave of 40,000 Zon-class warships, there is no chance of winning. The only hope lies in the super battleship. They gradually stopped, cleared the starry sky within tens of millions of kilometers, and lined up to wait for Zhou Quan's warships to arrive. They dare not take the initiative to attack again. From this point, it can be seen that the Guard civilization has become timid. If that's the case, then I'll destroy you completely. Zhou Quan snorted coldly, and the 40,000 warships at the front dispersed again, leaving the battlefield to the core for control. Space war can attack from all directions and doesn't have much in the way of tactics. The real deal is still technological strength. Except for that super warship from an advanced civilization, Zhou Quan is powerful enough to crush the Guardian civilization. The distance between the two sides is getting closer and closer. All energy cannons are charged. When the distance was 3 million kilometers, the warships of the Guardian civilization began to maneuver, and began to move disorderly while maintaining a relatively intact formation. The Zon-class warships also rushed in a manner that seemed chaotic but was actually orderly in chaos. The super warship took off from the transport ship and rushed out with an absolutely powerful attitude. The main gun of the super warship has been damaged, and most of the remaining secondary guns have been dismantled by the patrol civilization. In fact, the firepower is not that powerful. This lack of strength is relative to when it was in its intact state. Its combat power now is definitely not as good as 1/10 of what it was in its intact state. But compared to Zhou Quan and the Guardian civilization, they were still absolutely crushed. It is so hard that it can ignore the attacks of Zon-class battleships. When the distance between the two sides was only 1 million kilometers, they opened fire at the same time. Energy beam attacks are close to the speed of light, and it only takes less than 4 seconds to travel 1 million kilometers. Both sides continued to evade and at the same time used full firepower. In an instant, the starry sky was filled with dense beams of light, and warships were constantly being hit, exploding into balls of fire and turning into cosmic dust. The large force covers, the small team rushes in. Zhou Quan said secretly that this was the tactic he had discussed with the Corps. The first group consisted of 40,000 warships, 35,000 of which fought with the warships of the Guardian civilization. Another 5,000 ships rushed directly to carry out concentrated attacks on the super warships. Be sure to get the super warship as soon as possible. The Zon-class battleship rushed in with a desperate attitude, quickly closing the fighting distance. When the combat distance is less than 500,000 kilometers, the hit rate of the energy cannon will increase sharply. When the distance is less than 200,000 kilometers, almost every shot is sure to hit, and there is no room for dodge. The Zon-class battleship completely ignored it and rushed over with an attitude of dying together. Zhou Quan's idea is to control the combat distance within 100,000 kilometers, preferably less than 50,000 kilometers. The purpose is to deal with super warships. The super warship opened fire violently and quickly destroyed a large number of Zon-class warships. But the Zon-class warship seemed to ignore its existence and pursued the high-level and mid-level warships relentlessly. Energy beams pierced the sky one after another, and warships on both sides were continuously destroyed. During the sudden advance from 1 million kilometers to 500,000 kilometers, at least 2,000 Zon-class battleships were destroyed. Most of them were destroyed by super warships. On the other hand, if the guards are civilized, their losses will be much smaller. The loss of mid-level warships reached 1,000, and the loss of high-level warships was less than 50. It seems that Zhou Quan suffered a big loss. But Zhou Quan still ignored him and tried his best to close the fighting distance, as if he was desperate. The closer the distance, the more powerful the super warship's attack will be. The extremely smooth degenerate material completely ignored the energy cannon's attacks. Most of the attacks fell on it and were reflected. Seeing that the Zon-class battleship had no way to defeat the super battleship, the attacks of the patrol civilization became more fierce. Their idea is very clear, which is to rely on the technology of the super warship to crush Zhou Quan. The combat distance is shortening due to speed competition. In just 2 minutes after the battle started, the combat distance was shortened from 1 million kilometers to 200,000 kilometers. At this time, more than 5,000 Zon-class battleships were damaged. In just 120 seconds, more than 1/10 of the combat power was lost. If it were an ordinary army, its morale would have collapsed. But the Zon-class battleship is a half-technical, half-biological combat weapon. It has no thought at all. Everything is just the result of core manipulation. There is no such thing as morale fear. The distance continued to shorten, reaching 100,000 kilometers again. At this time, the Zon-class battleship group has reached the planned range of 100,000 kilometers. But Zhou Quan still feels unsafe. He and the Corps have deduced that 50,000 kilometers is the safest stage. Keep rushing. Despite the risk of a large number of Zon-class battleships being destroyed, the battleship group continued to advance despite the attack of the super battleship. While charging forward, they fired fiercely, and the bioenergy cannons intertwined into a screen of light, blowing up the warships of the patrol civilization. Finally, After paying a huge price of more than 10,000 Zon-class battleships, the team advanced to 50,000 kilometers. This is already the distance between the two sides fighting hand-to-hand and fighting with bayonets. The Zon-class battleships in front suddenly dispersed, and 5,000 battleships were set on fire at the same time. They had been invisible just now, hiding among the army and not being discovered. At this time, a fire was immediately exposed. For such strange behavior, the patrol civilization immediately aroused alarm. The super battleship turned around and wanted to retreat. But at this time, the distance between the two sides was only more than 40,000 kilometers. 5,000 Zon-class battleships opened fire at the same time, and the energy beams tilted towards the super battleship. The guard civilization doesn't understand what is the use of energy beams. But the result, at the forefront of the energy beam are ultra-miniature nuclear bullets. Dense small explosions continued to occur. When each ultra-miniature nuclear bomb explodes, all the energy generated is concentrated in a small area of 100 cubic millimeters. Within 2 seconds of the explosion, the temperature in this area will rise sharply to 300 million degrees. Other warships continued to launch attacks to provide cover for the assault team. The super warship continued to vibrate, and the power of small nuclear explosions was transmitted through the degenerate armor. The temperature of the armor increased sharply, and it started to turn red and hot after just 2 seconds. The battleship's attack frequency is so high that the number of micronuclear bombs fired almost every second exceeds 1,000. And now there are 5,000 warships firing. More than 5 million micronuclear bombs bombard the super warship every second. In just 4 seconds, the super warship's hull turned red, like a ball of molten iron that was about to melt. At the 6th second, the super warship exploded and was torn into pieces by micronuclear bombs. Worth it. Seeing the scene of the super warship being destroyed, Zhou Quan secretly said, "It's worth it." Although tens of thousands of Zon-class warships were lost during the advance, it was worth it if they could destroy the super warship. The patrol civilization was stunned. The super warship they had always thought was invincible was actually destroyed. Destroyed by a means unknown to them. Is it possible that Zhou Quan's technological level has exceeded the level of second-level civilization? Before Zhou Lai could be happy, an explosion caught him off guard. Open black lens bracket. There is an energy bomb, close black lens bracket. The core sent a warning at the same time as it exploded, but it was too late. 2 seconds after the super warship exploded, an energy bomb was detonated at the same time. The energy bomb swallowed up the starry sky tens of millions of kilometers in diameter almost instantly. Not only Zhou Quan, but also almost all the warships of the Guardian civilization were swallowed up by 947. Only a few scattered warships on the edge survived. Zhou Quan shouted, and sure enough, there was an energy bomb. Fortunately, I divided the battleship into 3 waves, front, middle and back, otherwise the losses would have been even greater. The energy bomb is too scary. However, he gained a comprehensive victory in this battle at the huge cost of 40,000 battleships. Zhou Quan led the army with 2 waves, and the second wave of 30,000 warships was launched at the same time, entering the battlefield as quickly as possible to eliminate the remaining patrol civilization warships. The third wave of 30,000 warships turned around and headed straight towards the Guardian's civilized territory. This time, the Guard civilization will be destroyed. Zhou Quan has deeply realized the cruel competition among civilizations in the universe. From the beginning to the end, the Guard civilization never had a conversation with him. When I saw his battleship for the first time, I immediately opened fire and strangled him. In this case, Zhou Quan would not give them any chance. If the two sides switch sides, it is obvious that his end will not be good, and the Guardian civilization will never give him a chance. It's just that why the Guardian civilization wants to directly deal with the civilization that comes to the starry sky. Could it be because of resources? For a second-level civilization, the resources of the endless galaxies may not be exhausted in tens of millions of years. The reason is currently unknown. After the warship entered the battlefield, it quickly caught up with the remaining warships of the patroller civilization and strangled them directly. Because of the energy bomb, the starry sky has become very clean. But something is not left. Those are some parts of the super warship. Things that can be left in the energy bomb, bring back all the fragments. While the battlefield was being cleaned, a ball among these components suddenly burst into a bright light. The brightness was frighteningly high, covering up the light of the stars for an instant, and the starry sky tens of millions of miles in radius was illuminated into daylight. Its brightness exceeds the nearest star number 1 by at least 100,000 times. Then the light quickly alternated between light and dark several times, and finally disappeared invisible. How is this going? It should be that a signaling device was activated, transmitting information in the form of light waves. Close black lens bracket. A signal was transmitted outwards. What signal was transmitted, and to whom? Can it be deciphered? There is too little data to decipher directly. Close black lens bracket. However, the signaling device is still there and can be brought back to try to decipher it. Close black lens bracket. Indeed, just a few flashes are difficult to decipher. However, the signaling device was not destroyed. Bring back all the remaining super warships in the starry sky. This is something from an advanced civilization, at least a product of a third-level civilization, and has very deep research significance. The army of the Guardian civilization was defeated and the super warship was damaged. This information has reached the territory of the Guardian civilization. The civilization of the guards was in chaos. They had already announced that Zhou Quan's battleship army was rushing towards them. As a result, a large number of warships took off, and the patrol civilization began to make its final resistance. The Guardian civilization is very clear about the rules in the universe. The loser has no other choice but to die. Maybe some kind-hearted civilization would let them live, but they didn't dare to gamble. The chance of losing is 99%, and they have another reason to make a desperate struggle. All the remaining items of the super warship were brought back and brought into the giant laboratory led by the Corps, and analysis and research began. On the other side, 30,000 Zon-class battleships are rushing to the Guardian's territory at a speed of 6,000 kilometers per second. Zhou Quan was very curious about their dying struggle. Why don't you run away even though you know that doing so will lead to a dead end? Why do you still have to make the final resistance? How is the translation of the civilized language of the patrollers? According to the obtained data, the Guardian civilization has 2 languages. Close black lens bracket. The first is their own language, which is how they communicate with each other. Close black lens bracket. The second language, which they call lingua franca, is the language translated from electromagnetic waves. Close black lens bracket. Zhou Quan instantly thought of the meaning of the second language, lingua franca. That is the language used among civilizations in the galaxy. From this point, we can relate that there is no communication between civilizations, otherwise it would not be possible to have a common language. So can we use the lingua franca now? Open black lens bracket already available for use. Close black lens bracket. The language function is just a piece of cake for the core computing power, and only 0.1% of the computing power is used to complete the learning work. Make a civilized announcement to the patrollers and ask them to surrender, otherwise they will be killed without mercy. Open black lens bracket obey, close black lens bracket. The message is sent out in the form of electromagnetic waves. The speed is the same as the speed of light, and the frequency is consistent with the frequency often used by the patrol. The message quickly spread throughout the entire Ranger civilization. Only half a day later, Zhou Quan received a reply from the Guardian civilization. Never surrender, fight to the death. Patroller Wenming answered simply, but it made Zhou Quan even more curious. As the 4.4 win side, he has given the opponent a chance, but the opponent still chooses to fight to the death. Is this a moral festival? Zhou Quan doesn't think so. As a civilized leader, he must consider his own people. There must be some unknown special reasons for this. But as Zhou Quan, this is not something he needs to consider. Since you were given a chance, you gave up. Then you can't blame me. From now on, there are still 60 days until the Zon-class battleship reaches the territory of the Guardian civilization. For 60 days, we ask them every 3 days if they were willing to surrender. If after 60 days, they still choose to fight to the death, then destroy it. Zhou Quan sighed softly, looked at the starry sky, and said no more. The Corps loyally executes Zhou Quan's orders. Zhou Quan looked at the starry sky and saw countless stars. Rebirth and destruction were happening every second. Endless galaxies and tens of billions of planets are just a drop in the ocean compared to the entire universe, not worth mentioning. Now he moves within a short range. Even at the farthest point, the boundary of the Guardian civilization's territory is only 70 billion kilometers. Calculated according to the speed of light, it is only less than 3 light days. 3 light days is nothing compared to the delay of the universe, which can easily be thousands or even hundreds of millions of light years. I am just jumping around on a small dot on the map of the universe, and I am nothing. Likewise, the Guardian civilization is nothing. There are countless similar civilizations, and there must be many that have been destroyed. Likewise, many new civilizations will be born. When Zhou Quan looks at all this from a cosmic perspective, it feels like nothing. To the universe, it really is nothing. Even among the 1 billion Earthlings who came to the endless galaxy this time, 28 are nothing more than a speck of dust. The mind must be big and the pattern must be broad. The bigger the mind, the higher the achievements. Zhou Quan told himself. 60 days later, the patrol civilization still chose to fight to the death. Give them an ultimatum. As long as they are willing to surrender, I can provide them with space to survive. As a result, the information fell into the sea and there was no answer. Silence is already the answer, and it is also the defenders' determination to be civilized. Zhou Quan agreed to their request. The Xuanyu battleship began to destroy everything about the Guardian civilization. First up is Industrial Star. Industrial stars were destroyed one by one by the bioenergy cannon of the Zon-class battleship. The last efforts of the Guardian civilization had little effect. The incoming warships were quickly destroyed, and the civilization of the guards was just a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Now that they have made up their minds, the guard civilizations have also decided to fight each other. Then nothing more needs to be said. Zhou Quan put away his last pity and left all the next matters to the core to handle everything. He opened the Galaxy chat channel and sent his second message here. Zhou Quan. The second-level civilization and the Guardian civilization have been eliminated. Everyone can develop freely, strive to develop to the second-level civilization, and step into the starry sky. I wish you all good luck. Zhou Quan's sudden speech caused a sudden silence in the chat channel. Who is this? I've never heard of the patrol being civilized. My current level 7 base still shows that the civilization level is less than 1 level. You and I are talking about level 2 civilization. Are you kidding me? Look where you're going when you're bragging. Big bosses are everywhere here, and there are scientists everywhere who will expose you in minutes. Brother Luo Xing, come out quickly and expose this guy. Zhou Quan was just giving a kind reminder. As for their reaction, it's none of my business. Now I am on a completely different level from them. It has completely broken away from the category of ordinary people. Have you ever seen an ordinary person who can live freely in the vacuum of the universe? After Zhou Quan finished speaking, he waited for a few seconds and was about to leave the chat channel. Suddenly a private message popped up. Mo Qing, is that you? Zhou Quan thought for a while and replied, well, seize the opportunity of peace to develop well. Strength is the foundation. Mo Qing didn't answer. Obviously Zhou Quan's statement didn't make her completely sure. Zhou Quan, you can see it when you launch the satellite at level 10. After saying that, Zhou Quan exited the chat channel. Unconsciously, it has been more than 2 years since I came here. He was used to the cold loneliness of the starry sky. The words become fewer and fewer, but the goals pursued become bigger and bigger. Zhou Quan, core, are the things on the super battleship helpful to us? Help, the super warship's information recorder was not completely damaged, and some sporadic information was obtained from it. Close black lens bracket. Zhou Quan became interested and sat down cross-legged in the starry sky. Let's talk. According to the records of the information recorder, this super warship comes from a third-level civilization called Aowen. Close black lens bracket. A war broke out between them and another level 3 civilization. Close black lens bracket. In the record, there is no name of another third-level civilization, but it is said that the other party is very powerful. Close black lens bracket. Then it was damaged in the war, and there are some records of its damage in the recorder. Close black lens bracket. Then the core displayed the record. Level 3 civilization in the 9th region of the Endless Galaxy, Aowen civilization, medium-sized space warship, number 3,206,432. The power system is under attack and 90% of the power is lost. The weapon system was damaged, the main gun was completely damaged, and the damage rate of the secondary gun was 30%. The energy shield generator was damaged, with a damage rate of 65%. The backup energy shield expansion generator was damaged, and the damage rate was 30%. Ling Ling Zong Zong's information was displayed. Zhou Quan looked at it and said with a smile, "Isn't this just a black box?" Anyway, it later fell into the hands of the Patroller civilization, and all the scientific and technological achievements of the Patroller civilization were obtained from it. It's just that the Guard civilization is too stupid. There is such a good example, but the weapons made are not even half as powerful. It is really shameful. In Zhou Quan's eyes, the patrolmen Wenming are just idiots. Zhou Quan, did you analyze what signal the light wave transmitter sent to the outside world at that time? There is still insufficient data to make a judgment. Close black lens bracket. Zhou Quan, okay, besides the information recorder, is there any other help? I mean scientific research. Through the analysis and study of its armor materials, the research on degenerate materials has been further developed. Close black lens bracket. Through the research on energy cannon components, the research on energy cannons has also been improved a lot, saving at least a year. Close black lens bracket. Through the study of fragments of the power system, our energy utilization rate is expected to be improved again. Close black lens bracket. Although the warship from Aoan civilization has been completely destroyed, only some wreckage fragments remain. But these wrecks alone are of great help to scientific research. There is a huge gap between the third-level civilization and the second-level civilization. Studying the things of third-level civilization plays a very important role in improving oneself. At least it can give yourself a general direction. At present, it seems that level 3 civilization needs stronger power, better materials, and more in-depth energy applications. In particular, energy applications, energy shields, and energy weapons require in-depth study. Zhou Quan thought of the day when the energy bomb exploded and the Guardian civilization opened an energy shield. It should also be an energy shield generator removed from the warship of the Aoan civilization. It's just that the energy shield generator was damaged and became a disposable item. In Zhou Quan's view, this is simply a waste of money. In less than 200 days, the Guardian civilization has reached the edge of extinction. Almost all industrial stars in the territory were destroyed. Now only some resource stars and life stars still exist. Zhou Quan did not kill directly, otherwise he would use the power of the Zon-class battleship. Whether it is using bioenergy cannons or hydrogen bombs, it is easy to eliminate the patrol civilization. It's just that Zhou Quan is very curious about the civilized attitude of the patrollers. The battleship brought the young Emperor Dragon Armor warriors to the planet of the Guardian civilization. The guard's civilized appearance looks a bit humanoid. He still has thick hair on his body and looks like an orangutan. The body is also very strong. But the strange thing is that they have legs and 4 hands. However, in the universe, each civilization looks different, so there is nothing surprising. Under the threat of force, the patrol civilization has given up resistance. But at this time, the core boldly invaded the electronic system of the patrol civilization. I had experience before, and now I am more familiar with it. Without the need to hide, the core computing power explodes. It only took half an hour to penetrate into their central system and get all the information back. After reading some of the information, Zhou Quan finally understood why the guards were civilized and chose to fight to the death even when they knew they were losing. The reason is that this is their mission. Manage this area for a third-level civilization called Aelan, with a mission period of 10,000 years. The patrol is in the 7th area, the 3rd division. The endless galaxy is not truly endless. Advanced civilizations have divided the endless galaxy into 9-day regions. Each region is ruled by a third-level civilization. Each area is divided into many partitions. The area where Zhou Quan and the Rangers live together is the 3rd division in the 7th area. The universal number in the endless galaxy is 07.03. After the patrol civilization accepts this task, it can only carry out it and cannot disobey it, otherwise it will be punished by the Aelan civilization. Alien civilization is a true third-level civilization, and the Guardian civilization is like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered in front of it, with no power to fight back. And according to the highest law of the endless galaxy, as long as it is a new civilization in the third division, it is qualified to challenge the administrator of the division. If you win, you can replace the opponent and become the manager of the current partition. If you fail, you will only die, and the whole family will die. In order not to be obliterated, the Guardian civilization will not be merciful to any secondary civilization that dares to step into the starry sky. After reading the information, Zhou Quan understood. The civilization of the guards does not mean that they do not want to escape, but that they cannot escape. It's all death anyway, so it's better to die standing. But Zhou Quan didn't want to kill him. Killing the patrolman didn't seem to do him any good. Moreover, the patrolman did not report the situation here, so there was a chance. Zhou Quan, I won't kill you either. You can continue to manage the third division. I won't put any restrictions on you. As long as you don't take the initiative to mess with me, I won't do anything. Zhou Quan's words spread, making the leader of the current patrol civilization extremely surprised. Why, this is the first communication between the patrolman's civilization and himself. Zhou Quan, because, I don't want to be a manager or be restricted. Do you understand? The guards seemed to understand civilization but not quite. Zhou Quan had gotten everything he wanted and didn't say any more nonsense. It wasn't until long after Zhou Quan left that the patrolman Wenming woke up. Zhou Quan, the winner, didn't even kill them. Although the industrial star was completely destroyed, there was nothing we could do. The resource star is still there, the technology is still there, and most importantly, the people are still there. Everything can be restored, and it will only take 100 or 200 years to return to its strongest period. This time is not too long for them. Lord, I don't understand. Close black lens bracket. Kor said suddenly. He doesn't understand what Zhou Quan does. Based on his simple logical thinking, since he has become the victorious party, shouldn't he kill the patrolman and manage this area by himself? Zhou Quan understands the core meaning. Whether or not to kill them actually doesn't make much difference to me. It's just that I don't want to be exposed to the sight of the third-level civilization yet. I have the guard civilization blocking me, and I slowly develop in the rear. Isn't this good? Kor did not respond, as if he was thinking about Zhou Quan's question. It seems that what Zhou Quan said makes sense, but it does not fit well with his logical thinking and requires calculation. Zhou Quan laughed and said, "Don't even think about this kind of thing, just do your scientific research. We need more powerful weapons and more advanced technology. If a third-level civilization comes to trouble us, we may die." Obey, Great Master. Close black lens bracket. The core has entered the research state again, which is what it is best at. In the blink of an eye, more than 300 days later, the base finally met the new level requirements and was upgraded to level 17. Energy demand has increased tenfold, reaching 10 million trillion, an astronomical figure. Fortunately, the efficiency of the nuclear worm has also been increased by 10 times, and the energy output is 8,600 trillion every day. The upgrade time has not changed much, and it takes about 1100 days. As a result, the energy provided by nuclear fusion is getting smaller and smaller every day. It is only 210 trillion energy, less than 3% of the nuclear worm, and it is no longer important. In Zhou Quan's view, it is imperative to develop new sources of nuclear fusion energy. But in terms of biological performance, you need to reach level 20 to make a qualitative leap. This also means that the potential that can be continuously tapped in microscopically controllable nuclear fusion is no longer enough. New nuclear fusion structures are needed. Core, we need a brand new nuclear fusion King Qian's device. The efficiency must be increased by at least 10 times based on the current one. Do you have any ideas? Energy is everything, both for the Zerg and for mechanical civilization. Both require massive amounts of energy to support. There are already plans to use the newly produced degenerate material with a thickness of 5 mm to make the volume, and cooperate with the corresponding bioelectromagnetic confinement technology. Close black lens bracket. It can expand the scale of controllable nuclear fusion by more than 20 times, thin close black lens bracket. The size of the nuclear fusion device represents to a certain extent the total power of nuclear energy. Approximately how long will it take? Is there a timeline set? It should be researched within 100 days. Close black lens bracket. 100 days is not too long and is acceptable. During this period of time, the Dragon Armor Warrior can also be upgraded to level 16. 1 million level 16 Dragon Armor Warriors should be able to raise their level to level 17. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.